Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have a really cool review for you to kind of continue on with the recent series of sub homages. This time being more of a classic sub homage or homage, being this particular model from Ticino watches. They basically specialize in homages of classic designs. And this particular one is an homage to the original quote-unquote Big Crown early Rolex Submariners. So you're probably wondering why I have to sell Marine Diver also in frame here, and honestly it's because I feel like these watches are so similar, but also, you know, I think they also are a little bit different, and I think a few of you thought I was pretty harsh with it to sell, and I just want to clear up some of the things I thought about it. And you know, I do realize that I did come off a little bit harsh, and you know, a little bit nitpicky maybe with the bracelet considering the price. But this particular watch here also is around the same price at about 230 bucks. So I figured it would be a great comparison. They're both 200 meters water resistant. They both are sub homages. One is the brand newest of the new style sub homage to the ceramic maxi, and then we have one that's there that is a sub homage to the original Big Crown subs, you know, that James Bond wore back in the day. So, you know, kind of similar but different, kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum, but they're both powered by the Miyota 9015 and also both have BGW9 looms. So with that said, I think it would be a very nice kind of comparison slash review on the Sea Viper. So as you know, these are dive watches. Dive watches, you're going to want a screw down crown, you know, to have that good water resistance. You want something tough, legible, dive time bezel, and then if you have a bracelet, it's nice to have a diver's extension. Both of these watches did come on bracelets, and they're not the greatest ever. I'd say that Ticino definitely has a much better bracelet. The thing I don't like about it is that it actually has polished center links, which isn't great, but the clasp on that one is definitely finished much better and actually is functional, which is really nice. So I think if Ticino could get a hold of whoever manufactures those, they would probably be pretty happy with them, because I think they're just a much better quality. So this is the vintage Sea Viper. It's the version with white loom. You'll also see there's another version that originally came out that had the more yellow patinaed loom. And as I said before, it's an homage to the original early Rolex Big Crown Submariners. The case size is also 40 millimeters with a 13 millimeter height. Of course, stainless steel, brushed and polished. You know, it has a single dome sapphire with inner air coating. So because it's a single dome, basically it's only domed on top, and underneath it's flat. So that will cause some distortion, which we'll see when we get a closer look here. Another odd kind of thing that it has is that it uses a 84 click bezel, which is definitely a first for me. Normally it's a 60 click, basically one click for each minute, or a 120 click, which is half a click basically. So there's 2 clicks in each minute. So really weird, but so when I go, you know, 5 minutes in one direction, basically there's 7 clicks there. So it's a little strange, but hey, I don't really judge this off of the clicks anyway when I'm timing something. I just normally just do it visually, but I thought that was just something interesting to mention there. And of course, like I said before, 9015 power, you know, and it's very similar to the Ticino, but just you know, kind of more old school execution there. So let's go ahead and get these up in the air a little bit closer to the camera. And you know, of course the bracelets aren't great, so I have these already switched out. Now for a more modern look with the more modern style Submariner homage, we have this Hirsch Pure rubber strap, which is really nice. That's the Pure is actually the style of the strap. That's the model. It's the Hirsch Pure. I think a lot of people hear me say pure rubber and they're like, oh, which model? It's the Pure is the name of it. And because the lug holes are so close to the case, it actually doesn't leave a lot of room for gap, and I think it looks really nice. Here, the lug holes are actually a little bit further out, so I think it looks much better on something like a NATO where it's going to fill that gap really nicely. And this particular NATO is the Phenomenato, which are really nice, and I am doing a kind of comparison of premium NATO straps coming in the future, so definitely keep an eye out for that. But while we're here, let's kind of just take a look at kind of two ends of the spectrum for the homage kind of industry. And you know, these are actually really well executed value for money. You know, if you were just to buy these watches on paper and they had an original design, these are extremely good values coming in at under $250, right around $220, $230, and then of course you can always bargain. The Ticino is a lot harder to get, considering that it's in such high demand that you actually have to email the owner directly, basically, and he puts you on a waiting list, and then once the next batch comes out, then he just emails you. So if you go to their website, these are always going to show sold out. Now for the Ticino, these actually, you can get them on eBay, you can get them from Sizzlin Watches. So there's a couple different ways you can get these. They are readily available, and I think they definitely are a great value if you're looking for a Big Crown homage watch. You know, these are very popular right now. Mark II's, you know, basically the higher end versions, you know, they can go for a lot more, you know, $2,000 and up. So I mean, this is not executed to the same level, you know, but it's definitely one of the nice features is that it actually is 200 meters water resistance, and it is actually tested. There are some nice ones like Tiger Concepts. They have really nice cases and finishing and everything. Not the greatest bezel action, but they're not water tested, you know, so that kind of sucks because you have a dive watch and it's not waterproof, but you're just trying to kind of have the look. So there's those options that are out there. But I think one of the cool things is this is actually a dive watch, and because it kind of ties into one of the first dive watches, you know, not the very first, because the Blancpain 50 Fathoms really, I'd say, would be the first modern dive watch, you know, ratcheting bezel and whatnot. But as far as, you know, kind of the most iconic diver being the Rolex, and this being kind of its, you know, one of its, it has some really cool kind of references here, you know, as the 369 Explorer style dial. It has the red triangle pip there. Just really cool. Big Crown, you know, really nice case shape there. Nice thin mid case. As you can see, of course, there's the case back that does add some height, and then the bezel itself. But let me just make sure it's focusing there. But definitely really cool. And then as you can see, there is going to be some distortion, which, you know, some people love it, some people hate it. I think for a watch with such a stark kind of dial, it's nice to have a little bit of something there. So the distortion, I think, can actually be kind of fun. But if I had to choose, I'd rather have a double dome sapphire, so you could have it at other angles and there'd be no distortion. It would just be more legible. But I think in this case, it does add a little bit to kind of that vintage aesthetic. So I will let it get away with it for this review anyway. And then the nice thing is, you know, these are powered by 9015s from Miyota, so they do have the nice 4 hertz, you know, which is basically 8 ticks a second. So it's nice and smooth, smoother than your, you know, average Seiko that's running at 3 hertz, which is 6 ticks per second. So that's definitely nice. They both have sapphire crystals, which is another thing that your average $250 Seiko won't have. So, you know, there's definitely a lot to be had here. There's a lot to like. You know, these are not hot horology by any means, but they definitely can be nice, fun watches to wear. And they're definitely something that, you know, maybe the Ticino might be something that somebody might wear that doesn't even really care about watches. They just want something that looks like a Submariner. But the Ticino, I think, it's pretty clear that you're kind of into the watch scene because you kind of like that vintage aesthetic. Plus, you can't really buy a Big Crown now. I mean, those are well, probably the cheapest one you'll find is going to be 50 grand, and it's going to be beat to death and probably won't even run. So the fact that you can get one of these and actually wear it, not only wear it underwater, wear it on a jet ski, wear it while snorkeling, scuba diving, I think that's really cool. And it still has the same aesthetic, and it also is functional though, right? It's going to have loom that actually shines and everything, which is really cool. So I'd say if I was going to recommend anybody some watches that are a great value and that are very versatile, these are great options as long as you don't mind the homage thing. And if you're looking for a homage and you don't want to spend too much, I think that these are definitely, as far as what you get for the money, these are worthwhile. You know, I probably came off as a little harsh with it to Sil, and it was kind of unfair for me to compare it to watches that are list pricing at, you know, $1,300. But you know, I think that to Sil, it's, I guess what made me kind of was a little bit polarizing about it was that it just has some things that are executed so finely, like the handset and the dial and the bezel and everything, and the case is still pretty decent, but then the bracelet was just such a far departure that you know, it's just a little frustrating. I think the Ticino, if you like it on the bracelet, you know, you like it with the polished center links, it's still definitely totally usable and everything like that. And I think it looks nice with it on. But I think the vintage aesthetic is just better pulled off on the NATO. But let's go ahead and get a quick loom shot here, and then we can get these on wrist and kind of figure out you know, how they feel and kind of what they do similarly, what they do differently, and kind of go from there. Cool. All right, so as you can see, they both glow blue, which is really nice. But of course, the Ticino is gonna have a brighter glow. I mean, it's using maxi dials. There's just more loom applied. You know, they both kind of have those faint green, probably C1 loom pips. So, you know, no big surprise there. You just pop those up because there's plenty of companies that make these bezel inserts, so I highly doubt that they went through all the trouble of making their own. They probably were able to source one, especially since they're using similar specs to the original Rolexes that these are paying homage to. Now, the 369 dial is printed, so it's not going to be as bright, but I think that's still very legible. You know, you kind of cover up, you kind of cover that up there, and it, you know, that's not a bad looking set of loom. It's just in comparison, in contrast, it's definitely not as bright, but it definitely still does the job. So let's go ahead, get the light on, and let's get these on wrist, just to kind of compare and contrast kind of how they go. So first I'll get this guy here on. Okay. So as you can see, you know, fills the wrist really well. There's not a lot of gap in between the lugs there, and the case and the strap, really nice. Fits great, feels great. Very modern, you know, rough and tumble. You don't have to worry about beating this guy up because it does have ceramic and sapphire. So it's just going to be tougher than your average, you know, kind of $250 watch. And then we have here the Ticino. Let me go ahead and get that on my wrist. I'll do it off camera because it'll just be a little bit easier versus kind of reaching around to the front, around the tripod and everything that's holding the camera up. So let me get this thing nice and tight. And so one thing I will show you is one of the cool features about the Phenomenato straps is that adjustable keeper there, which is pretty cool. So I can just take that, then scoot the keeper up, then tuck that underneath, holds it perfectly. So As you can see, they both wear very similarly on wrist, but because of the case, and then of course it's on a NATO, you're definitely gonna have a little bit of added height here with the Big Crown, as you can see, but I mean, nothing crazy. I don't think this is some outrageously tall wearing piece where I wouldn't wear it or anything like that. I think it actually wears really nicely, and because of the, you know, the more shapely lugs there, how they taper really nicely. Oh wow, man, this thing is dusty. Hold on, let me knock some of the dust off this bad boy. So as you can see, I think it just wears really, really nicely, and it really is complemented very well by a nice premium NATO. Of course, you don't have to get, you know, $40 NATO strap to wear with it. You know, you can get an $11 one. It's gonna look just as good, but I think this definitely does add a little bit. And, you know, again, it speaks more to the watch enthusiast versus just Joe Blow who needs to, you know, time himself when he goes on a run. So I think this definitely is something you see this on somebody's wrist, you know, they're kind of an enthusiast and they are more into the hobby and not just wearing it to tell the time. Now on this side though, you know, this could be somebody who's just, you know, a Rolex wannabe, but there's plenty of them out there, believe me. I've checked a lot of wrists in my day and I get close up and then I can tell, okay, hey, that definitely is not a Rolex. This is one that could probably fool a lot of people from afar. But the nice thing is that up close, it's clearly telling you, hey, this is a Ticino. It's not a replica. It is, you know, it's paying respects and homage to a piece that definitely is very iconic and very sought after. And it does have, you know, pretty nice specs for what it is. You know, you got to give Ticino that. And one of the cool things is that they definitely listen to their customers. A little update. They saw the video review and they're definitely taking everything into consideration. If you actually look up, there's a couple of threads on like Watch You Seek, you know, on the watch forums basically, where you can see they've refined this piece over time. They've changed little things, tweaked little things basically, and it's because people were said, hey, well, I think it'd be better if it had this, let's try that, let's do this, let's tweak that, and then you know, at the end of the day they come out with something better. So, you know, maybe the next iteration we'll see will be even better, which will be pretty cool. So you know, let me know what you guys think. I know you're probably really tired of all the sub-homage videos. Ooh, it's freaking bugs flying into there. You guys are probably tired of all the sub-homage videos that have been on the channel lately, but I figure I might as well just clump them all together and get them out there while I have some other stuff that's going to be coming out soon. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please do hit like. If you haven't already, do subscribe for more content just like this. Let's get a close up here. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.